if you need to pop up and say anything, ask any questions, go ahead and do that. I'm sitting on a pillow as I usually am. I mentioned we have just something like an object of about this size that you could use if you don't have a yoga block. I found some good stuff in Brene Brown that I want to read to you. It's actually, she's actually quoting Lynn Twist in the book called The Soul of Money. We have the choice in any setting to step back and let go of the mindset of scarcity. Once we let go of scarcity, we discover the surprising truth of sufficiency. And by sufficiency, I don't mean a quantity of anything. Sufficiency isn't like 2 steps up from poverty or 1 step short of abundance. It's a measure of barely enough or more than enough. Or it isn't a measure of barely enough or more than enough. Sufficiency isn't an amount at all. It is an experience, a context we generate, a declaration, a knowing that there is enough and that we are enough. Sufficiency resides inside of each of us and we can call it forward. It is a consciousness, an attention, an intentional choosing of the way we think about our circumstances. And I feel like that's really relevant to maybe focus on that concept of the sufficiency of the being enough and having enough, which we often talk about. Because like as a more left-leaning person, I'm often getting into these altercations with people who have different viewpoints than me, and I'm just sitting there saying like, no, it's this scarcity mindset and all of my values are rooted in compassion and wanting the best for people. But most of us, our values are rooted in compassion and wanting the best for people. We have different ideas about how all of that happens, but there's that big disconnect comes when we're going at it from an idea of scarcity. When we know that there is enough, there always is enough, there is a sufficient amount of love and resources, etc., available in the whole world if we just distribute it properly, then we're in the best place. And that also goes with us inside. Like, I am enough and am whole and complete exactly the way I am, whether or not I do 572 chaturangas a day or I lay in shavasana for 5 hours. Either way is good. It's just finding that balance and that wholeness and enoughness within ourselves, because we're all coming from that desire, that truth of just knowing that we are and we want to be enough. So start off with some full deep breaths. We're going to do a lot of twisting today, kind of clearing out the system. It's a good thing to do when we're having a change of seasons, even though I'm not really sure what season this is right now, but it's a good time of year to do a little bit of detoxifying with some twists. So we'll start off with some face brushing. Take your index finger and your thumb together, and then going from the center of your forehead, brush outwards towards your temples a few times. And taking that brushing from the sides of your nose out to your temples, along your cheekbones. And from the temples down to the chin, along the jawline. From the sides of the nose down to the chin, along your laugh lines. And then resting your hands down in your lap, let your index finger and your thumb touch as a gesture of completion, of connection. If it's comfortable, close your eyes or just soften your gaze and take a few deep breaths. We make this mudra of completion, of wholeness. We have this practice of connection, of union. There is a sufficiency and enoughness within each of us, within the whole world. I have enough, I am enough. Then take a big breath in through your nose. Big breath out through the mouth. Again, like that. For 3 ohms. On your next breath in, as you start to blink your eyes open, reach the arms up. You can feel the backs of your ribs lift up. So you're a little bit longer through the back, maybe a little bit softer in the back of the neck. And on your next exhale, twist over towards the right side. Go ahead and bring your left hand to your right knee, and your right hand is in nice and close to your hips. Take an inhale, feel your spine getting a little bit taller. And on your exhale, soften the belly, get a little bit deeper into your twist. Come back to the middle as you inhale, take your arms up. Feel yourself getting taller, and then twist over towards the left side. So trying to keep that spine straight up and down. Stay there as you exhale. And then inhale, come back to the center. Exhale, twist. And when you get there, stay for 1 full round of breath, breathing and getting taller, and then exhaling to soften into the belly. And inhale, come back to the center, lift your arms up. Exhaling to twist over towards the left. Stay there, breathe in. Soften the belly as you breathe out. Inhale, come back to the center. Exhale, twist. Stay there, breathe in. Stay there, breathe out. Inhale, back to the center, lift up. Exhale, twisting over towards the left. Breathing in and breathing out in that position. And then inhale, back to the center. Exhale, twisting over towards the right. Stay there for a full round of breath. And then inhaling back to the center. Exhale, twisting over towards the left side. And as you do this, you might get a little bit more twisted every time you arrive in this position. Go 1 more time each side. Inhale to the center and exhale, twist over towards the right. Stay there as you breathe in and out. And then lift it back up to the middle. When you're ready, when you exhale, twist over towards the left side. Big breath in and big breath out. And then inhale back to the center. Feel yourself lifting up again. And then soften your hands down in front of you. So just lean forward. And then start walking your hands forward until you feel a little bit of stretch on the outsides of your hips. And rather than worrying about how far forward you get, can you relax into the sensations around your hips? So for me, it's like very deep into the fleshy stuff right here. So I'm gonna let the fleshy stuff be a little bit softer rather than grabbing in that area. And if it seems like a good idea for you to bend into your elbows, maybe you bring your elbows down, maybe you walk your hands further forward, but try to find a place where you are able to seek softness and an easy, steady breath. One more breath in. One more breath out. And then start to walk the hands back in towards you. Go ahead and take your left leg and extend it out. Leave your toes up. And then you're going to turn over away from that leg. You can press your left hand onto your left thigh. Move your right hand a little bit further behind you. We're going to open up this inner thigh line a little bit. So we've got a twist away from the leg. I like to keep those toes lifted so this whole leg line is engaged. Breathing out. And then coming back up to the center, you're going to slide the left hand down the left leg and take the right arm up and over your nose and soften the space in between your shoulder and your neck. So maybe you can relax that arm a little bit further forward. Breathing in, breathing out. And start to take yourself up. You're going to take both legs in, bring the soles of the feet down, fingertips just behind you, and then let your heart stretch up and forward. Try to wrap those elbows back. You can look up if you like. Trying to keep the breath steady, even in this really big open-hearted space. One more inhale. Exhale. And then relax your heart down. You're going to take the left leg in and extend your right leg out, leaving those toes lifted. And start off by twisting away from the leg. So you'll place the hand on the thigh, kind of open up that space. You can even use your hand to move the flesh open and away from the belly a little bit. You have, as always, license to kind of adjust these things and say, oh, what do I need? What could make this feel a little bit better? One more exhale. And then slide the right hand down and take your left arm up and over your nose. So there's that slight shadowing of your face. Release that shoulder blade forward and soften your lower ribs in the front so you can get a little bit more stretch along that side body and the back body. Moving along, steady breath. Take one more full breath in and full breath out. And then come up, shake your fingers out, flick your fingers out. So you've got a little bit more blood pumping in there, and you can leave the hips on the floor like you just did, or when you bring the hands up or the feet up, you can take the hands just behind the hips, wrap those elbows back, leave the hips on the ground, or lift them up into altar pose. Make sure you try to use the big toe edges of your feet, because you know how you can kind of let them fly out. Use those big toe edges, lift up, breathe in. Exhale, soften it down. You can shake your wrists out again, especially if you just have the weight on your hands. And then you're gonna come down onto your back. Go ahead and take the, if you have anything underneath your seat, remove it and grab your object, whatever this is. Okay. We're gonna take this against the thighs with the thighs up in the air. Now, if having the thighs up in the air is a lot, you're just gonna press your hands into this object and you get a little bit of carving out in the belly. With those of us who have the legs lift up, there's a lot more carving out in the belly, and it might be a little bit harder to maintain a slow, steady breath, but keep trying to push the thighs into your object and your hands into your object. One more breath in. One more breath out. And then take a little rest. And then we're going to take 3 more breaths like that again. So mostly like shins parallel to the ceiling. Keep your toes engaged. Go on up if you haven't already. Nice strong arms. Breathe in. Smooth breath out. Try to keep your belly engaged. A little bit less eyebrows. One more breath in. Breathe out. And then relax your legs and your hands. Now, if you have something that is about the size of a yoga block, then you can put that in between your legs. If your something is heavy, go ahead and set it off to the side. If it's bigger than a yoga block, if there's any like space in there that's way bigger than a yoga block, just set it off to the side. You're just going to pretend. If you've got something that's about that size, you're going to bring it in between your legs in the narrowest setting that it's got. So maybe about like 6 inches, 4 inches, something like that. You're going to squeeze your knees into that object. Take a big breath in. And then exhale, relax. Good. So if you just did that and that made you decide that that object is not the right size, you're just going to pretend to squeeze your legs into something that is about 6 inches. So you can absolutely take that license for yourself. If that seemed like a good thing, though, you're going to bring it back in between your legs, and then you're going to bring your arms down by your sides, palms facing down, wiggle the shoulders underneath your back, and squeeze your knees into that object, your thighs into the object or the imaginary one until your belly fires up. Take a breath in. And as you exhale, let your knees go over about 8 inches to the right, and then inhale back up to the center. Exhale about 8 inches over towards the left. And then squeeze it back up to the center. We're just gonna go 2 more times each side. Try to go smooth with a smooth breath. And you gotta keep squeezing that thing, whatever your thing is. Good. Not a big twist, a controlled twist. I think there's 1 more time on each side. If I'm wrong or you're done, just go ahead and stop. And then when you come back to the middle, take that object, set it off to the side, make sure it's way out of your way, and then start to extend your legs out, reaching your arms back, in some space on the front side of the body. Big breath in, and exhale, relax. Try to start sliding the feet up a little bit closer towards you. Bring your feet a little bit wider than hip width. And if it feels good to you, you can grab onto opposing elbows or open the arms out a little bit more if that's necessary for your shoulders. Lift the toes up towards your shins. Let both knees go over towards the right side and reach that left knee away from you. Just stay here for a breath in. Soften your belly as you breathe out. And then take the legs back up and over towards the other side, reaching that right knee away from you. Reach the elbows away from you. Stay there as you exhale. And then take your knees back up. Release your arms from that bind if they were in one. And take your right leg up in the air. Take some circles around your ankle. And circle in the other direction. And draw those toes back to your face. Bend into the knee, put the right ankle on your left knee, and either stay here, pressing those thighs open, or take the right arm in between the legs and hold onto your left thigh. Try to relax your hips down, soften your breath. If it would be better in your neck to put a pillow or something beneath your head, go ahead and do that. Just take out the tension where it's not helpful. One more round of breath. If you've got that left leg, you're going to release it. Slide the right leg over the left leg more, so now your thighs are crossed. And then let the knees go over towards the left side. You might stop where you're kind of caught on your foot, or you could let the knees go all the way over. I think having the foot caught is going to help to open the chest more. So I'm going to focus on that, opening the arms out, rolling that right shoulder down, softening the belly button back to the spine so that there's a little bit more room to rotate, and create a big stretch on the outside of the right thigh. One more big breath in, and big breath out. And then start to unwind that right leg as you come back to the center. Shift the hips until they feel stable and centered. Bring the feet in so that they are even, close by the hips. And then take your left leg up and make some circles around in your ankle. You could always hold the leg if that is just a little bit too much ab work. To hold it up on your own. Make sure that the circles go in both directions. And then flex your foot, toes up towards the shin. Bend the knee, put the ankle on the right knee. Stay there, or reach the left arm in between the legs so you're holding onto the bottom leg. So there's the supporting leg that you're holding, the creating the stretch in the knee that's turned out. Both hips are relaxing as much as they are able to. Take about 2 more steady breaths here, feeling into these sensations. And then releasing your hands from the right leg, Drop the right foot down, slide the left leg over until the thighs are crossed, open your arms and let the knees go over towards the right side, probably catching on the foot so they don't go all the way over those legs, but finding just whatever makes more sense for you. So it's okay to twist all the way. Be sure that your belly isn't rolling over towards the right side. You want the belly to fall back and down towards the left side, and from there in that squishy midsection, finding a little bit more twist. Big breath in. Big breath out. Come back to the center, unwinding your legs, bring your knees into your chest. A little rock around. Then rock yourself up to the seat. And you're gonna come onto your hands and knees. If you wanna pad up your knees at all, we're just gonna take one shape, one little twisting lunge. You're gonna wanna have your object, whatever it is. For some of us, it might be a little bit more sturdy, a little bit lower, so just be aware, like this shape, I only have a little bit to grab onto. So you can decide how you wanna set that up, wherever's more sturdy. And then you're gonna bring your right foot up where your right hand was and try to scooch a little bit forward. And then your left hand is on the object that's right in line with your foot. I'm gonna start by pulling your right hip back towards the left foot. And then take your right collarbone open and reach your right fingertips up. And in order to open the chest with a lot of strength here, you're gonna push out into both hands. So that bottom hand push down, so you see how that opened the bottom shoulder. And keep pulling the right hip towards the back foot, reaching the ears away from my tailbone, softening the belly with the exhales. Breathing in, breathing out. And then take the hands down. Slide that right leg back. Just gonna move that item over towards the other side, bringing the left foot up. Take your time to get there. When you arrive, make sure that you're not resting into that bottom shoulder. You need to push into that bottom arm. Open the top shoulder, reach out through the top arm, and keep reaching out through both of those hands, pulling that left hip back towards the right foot, rolling your right ribs over towards the left thigh. And big breath in, big breath out. And release your hand down. Go ahead and slide that item off to the side. You're going to take the legs back, not necessarily in that order. Come on down to laying on your belly for a moment. Make a pillow for your head with your hands. Rest your forehead, wiggle your hips a little bit side to side. Take one more breath, resting like this. If you've got any more room to wiggle those legs back, go for it, just to create a little bit more space in the lower back. And then reach your arms back behind you, interlace your fingers, and send the heart forward as you pull the knuckles back, creating a big stretch along the chest. You can lift the legs if you want to. It's optional. One more big breath in. And then exhale, soften down. Bring your hands under your shoulders. Push your hips up above your knees. Walk the hands forward a little bit so that you can reach from the armpits down into your hands. Just relax your neck. Feel a little stretch along the upper back. And then we're going to start working our way to standing. So you can start working your way there now, or come with us through downward facing dog. So you'll curl your toes under, press the hips up, pushing into the outsides of the arms so you feel that same exposure and open space along the upper back. Try to lift your inner thighs up into your hips, but still release the heels down, which is a weird, complex way to think about it. Last exhale. And then start bringing the feet to the hands and the hands to the feet. Keep your knees soft. Take your time coming up to standing. No rushing. Don't worry about how fast you get there. When you arrive, I'm going to take the legs out really wide. I want toes Facing forward, legs out, nice and wide. You can bend the knees in order to get the hands down to the ground when you get there, but start off taking a big breath in to lengthen through your spine. And as you exhale, take the hands down, forward fold. Give yourself a moment to relax into this fold, to release any hamstring tension. And then leaving your left hand down in front of your face. You're going to take your right hand to the small of your back, so the flat part back there, and feeling it stay flat, roll your right ribs open into a twist. Maybe your left arm opens, and it probably doesn't go straight up to the ceiling because your shoulder might not be. Take a breath in. Feel that belly soften. Maybe you rotate more as you breathe out. And then take your left hand down, or right hand down, sorry, the hand that's up, take that one down, and then put the other hand at the small of your back. So I want to try to keep this space mostly flat. Then I'm going to roll from the rib cage, so it's from the waist up, rolling that left shoulder open. Maybe the left arm comes up. Ears away from tailbone, tailbone away from ears, feeling the belly soften as you exhale. And then taking the hands down, soften your back, maybe soften the knees a little bit more. Bringing the hands to the hips, start to stand yourself up, take your time getting there. And then we're going to shift over into pyramid pose, so big straight leg stretch. Go over towards your right leg, right foot in front of you, left toes turning in. Hips are going to start to face mostly forward, just like they would in Warrior One. You're going to send your heart forward and your elbows back over a straight right leg. Keep pulling the outside of the right hip back. Check in with your breath. One more exhale. And then start to lift yourself up. You can just switch your feet, take 1 foot forward, 1 foot back. I'm going to change this way. Notice how if you do go in this direction, you're just adjusting your feet so that you aren't crossed, that you have that wide train track sort of space. Hands to your hips, elbows back. Stand on 2 feet. It will help to guide both hips forward. Keep the leg straight as you come over the leg as much as your hamstring is willing for you to go. Trust that as far as your hamstring is willing to let you go is a perfectly sufficient amount of stretch. It is a perfectly sufficient pose for you. It's about opening up the back of the leg, not laying your nose on your shin. One more breath in. Breathing out. And start to lift yourself up. We're going to bring the feet back in together. Into a place where the big toes touch. Legs are in nice and close. Reach your arms up, make steeple fingers or Vira Mudra up above your head, and feel the inner thighs lifting up and squeezing towards the pelvis. You get squeezed up a little bit taller, a little bit stronger. Like little side bends, inhale, lifting up, exhale, side bend over towards the right. Inhale, lifting up, exhale, side bend over towards the left. This isn't as far as I might usually go, but I want to keep kind of a steady flow and focus on those inner thighs lifting up to the middle, taking me strong up and over from side to side. Do one more to the right and to the left. And then come up to the center, feel yourself get really long. And then you're going to bring your hands to your hips, sit your hips back. Maybe your toes lift up and spread down against the weight in your heels. So you're sitting far, far back. Keep squeezing those inner thighs together. And then take your left hand to the outside of your right knee and roll that right shoulder open, squeezing those inner thighs back. Try to open your collarbones. What you might do is take the elbow down. You kind of have to sit the hips back a little bit more here to keep the hips and the head in line. Maybe palms come together. If that was a bad idea, then this was a perfectly sufficient place for you to be. And you can go back there. Next exhale. We're going to unwind. face forward, straighten the legs, relax things for a bit. And then finding the other side, I'm just gonna switch because it's weird not to face you. You're gonna keep your big toes and your inner thighs squeezed in tight. Sit the hips back, and you can stay here, maybe taking your right hand down to your left knee. Notice if your right knee kind of slides forward, you could probably squeeze those knees and then push into both feet more. You might slide down to the elbow. Maybe this side isn't such a good one. Oh, my knee's creeping forward. Okay, there we go. And open those collarbones wherever you're at. Come back to the breath. One more exhale. And then unwind, face forward, straighten the legs, wiggle things out. I'm gonna come into a bit of a standing flow situation. We're gonna take triangle pose and half moon and revolved half moon. If you wanna make sure you're near something that you could grab onto just in case, you're welcome to kind of adjust your space. You'll wanna take with you your item that will be helpful. You will want it on its tallest setting. If it's not tall enough, what you can do is use like a bookshelf in half moon, like we've done back in the church sometimes. But I'm gonna set up for a triangle on the right side. I have to adjust my space a little bit. You're gonna have your item on the inside of your right foot, left toes turn in. Start with your hands to your hips. Once you get there, we'll tilt the hips back, letting that top one come over, and then your hand will either come down to that object or you can start at your shin. You don't have to go down to that item right away. Try to open your chest and relax this hip. Ears away from the tailbone. Big breath in. Release that right hamstring as you breathe out. One more round of breath. And then look down. You're going to take your back foot, hop it in a little bit closer, probably bend into your right foot as you take that item out about a foot or so in front of you. And then you're going to practice taking that back leg up and opening your top shoulder. You might take it up for a little bit and set it back down. You can keep this knee bent. Don't worry about stacking this hip, but can you open your ribs? Maybe you take the arm up, maybe not so much. And then fold down. And just bring both feet down. You can even bring your elbows onto your thighs. Get a little rest for a moment. We're still gonna stand on the right, on your right leg. You're gonna bring the object underneath your left hand, about a foot in front of your right foot. So opposite arm and leg is what I'm going for here, wherever you happen to be. And then you're gonna lift the leg that was just lifted, but this time the toes face to the floor, and you're gonna lift from your inner thigh so there's a little bit more room and stability around your hips, and then take your right hand to your right shoulder and roll that shoulder open. You probably will not get 180 degrees. You're welcome to open the arm. Keep lifting those inner thighs. And then fold forward, bring the feet down, bring the elbows back to your thighs if that was helpful, or drape forward in a fold, whatever makes more sense. Nice and soft and relaxed in that lower back where all that work was just happening. And then gently bring yourself up. Whew. I don't know why that feels like a lot. Probably because it is a lot. All right, let's try the other side. So we'll have the same standing leg or the same front leg for all of those shapes, or just do the opposite of what you did before. So if you're mirroring me, you'll have your left foot forward, your right toes turned in. I want to have the legs pretty wide. I've got that item on the inside of the left foot. Shift those hips back. Rest the top hip over. It's not turned all the way. It's just resting. And then you'll take the hand down wherever it goes. Tailbone yonder. Ears yonder. Maybe that top arm opens up. You can even push into both of those hands, feeling that open space in your chest like we did when we were in that twist before, and that little lunge. And think of releasing that left hamstring. One more breath. And draw your belt bend into the front knee. You're gonna hop that foot back or hop that foot up. Take your hand to your hip. You're gonna move that object out in front of you. We're gonna come into half moon. So make sure your leg's not back behind you. That's gonna open your hip too much and create some low back tension. So you wanna make sure you can see those toes and they might not be that high up. Try to open your chest. Maybe the foot comes up to the same height as your hip. Maybe the hand comes up for one moment. And then when you've had enough, fold forward. Come to a restful place for you, a supportive place, wherever that is. Doesn't have to look exactly like where we're at. Try not to drop your head down too much. And then I've got my object right in front of the left foot, so I'm going to move it over in front of the right foot because then I have it underneath my right shoulder. I'm going to stand on the left foot. As I take the leg back, I don't want to open that hip. I want to lift the insides of my hips. Maybe the left shoulder opens. Maybe the hand opens. Keep lifting those inner thighs, keeping that pelvis, that foundation in line. And when you've had enough, fold forward, relax. And relaxing forward fold. Big exhale. And then start to lift yourself up. Wiggle things out a little bit. And we're going to take just one more standing pose on each side. So you'll take your right foot forward and your left foot back, finding warrior one in the legs. We're just going to lean a little forward so you have a little bit more room to rotate in the back. Keep pulling your right hip towards your back foot. Reach your left arm forward and your right arm back. I'm at about 4 o'clock with my arms, not 6 o'clock, but I'm going to start pushing it closer to 6 o'clock by reaching my heart out to my hands and softening my belly. I think I'm even leaning a little bit more forward. Just kind of feeling out what that's like and what that might open up in your body. Strong back leg, breathing in, breathing out. And bring the hands to the heart. See if you can take one step to come up. You can take 7 or 8 or whatever you need. Come on up. And then move to the other side. So take your right foot back, left foot forward, back toes turn in. And there's a little bit of a leaning forward, so I've got a little bit more space in the low back. Reach the right arm forward. You can see my left arm is out at about 8 o'clock. We might start to rewind back towards 6 o'clock. And I can really soften the belly and reach from the collarbones out to the hands. Doesn't matter how close to 6 o'clock you get. Yeah. Feeling what it's like to kind of manipulate the body, explore this possibility of twisting. Last exhale. And then come to face front. Maybe there's one step you take to come up to the front of your mat. Wiggle out whatever got sticky. Bringing your feet in underneath your hips, toes facing forward. Take a big inhale to reach the arms all the way up. And as you exhale, fold forward. Bend the knees as much as you need. Relax the lower back. Take a moment. On your next inhale, roll the shoulders back and send your heart forward with your tail going back. You need a little bit more length in the spine. We're going to come back to downward dog. After downward dog is child's pose. So if down dog's not a good place for you, you're going to go straight to child's pose or just laying down on your belly or puppy dog pose, something restful. If you're in downward dog, give your ears the opportunity to drop down, your hips the opportunity to float up, your heels are relaxing into the ground, and your armpits pushing down strongly through the hands into the ground. If you've got one more exhale to give, let it out here. And then we'll all meet in child's pose. Maybe the knees are a little bit wider. Doesn't matter how far your hips go back.
Take a moment to rest your head, just soften your breath. Then walk your hands over towards the right side, getting a little bit more stretch along the left side body. Try to relax that left shoulder. Rest your head somewhere that makes sense to you. And reach that left hip back. And then start walking your hands over in the other direction, over towards the left. Reaching out through the right side, relaxing the right shoulder, pulling the right hip back, rest your head somewhere. When you finish this round of breath, start to come out of the shape. We're going to come down onto the belly. And rest your forehead or a cheek. Wiggle the hips out a bit. When I come into Shalabhasana, it doesn't have to be a very high one. Practice lifting your legs up just to kind of check in. Just getting those feet hovering up off of the floor, rolling the inner thighs up. And then when that feels good, take your hands back. We'll just take 2 breaths. Inhale, feel the heart going forward. Soften something as you exhale. Inhale, maybe you can open up that heart a little bit more. And then soften down, hands under shoulders. We're going to press the hips up and back. And then sit down and swing those legs out in front of you. Taking your left leg forward, your right leg in. So if you would be more supported to have something underneath your hips to get a little bit more roll forward in your pelvis, go ahead and grab that pillow, whatever is helpful to you, a folded over blanket, whatever you've got. You're going to bend into the front, lift the front toes, maybe bend the leg a little bit, and just come forward into a fold, resting that right hip back and down. You can be wherever you want it to be. If you're a foot holder, you can hold the foot, the shin, the floor up here, and just rest the heart forward. Come wherever you would like to be. One more breath in and out. And start to walk the hands back a little bit closer to you. You're going to take this knee and you're going to turn it to face up. You can leave it on the right side, that foot, or cross the foot over. Keep the left toes lifted. Hug the left arm around the right knee and bring that right hand in nice and close to your hip. Feel your spine lift up as you breathe in, and then pull that thigh across you as you roll the left ribs over towards the thigh, and try to soften both collarbones open as you do so. Stay there 2 more breaths, getting taller as you inhale, softening the belly as you exhale. Breathing out. And then releasing that twist. We're going to take a little adjustment here. You're either going to go back to that fold that we were just in, so you take the knee and you open it up. Or you can slide the foot across, maybe bringing your knees a little closer together. I'm on the pinky toe edge. You might adjust and wiggle your hips around. Now you can fold the bottom leg in if you want to go full cow face pose. We're going to get a little bit more hamstring release by keeping the front leg extended. So if you want to get that deep belly of the hamstring work, keep that leg out. If you want to get a little bit more into the hips, you might fold that bottom leg in and we already did a lot of hips today, being that we did all that twisting. So your choice of where your body should be going. Stay about 3 more breaths in this pose. Release into your exhale. And then start to come up. Gently unwind that leg. Take the hands forward. Just take your palms onto your knees and kind of wiggle the skin around a little bit. And then take your left leg in, right leg forward, maybe adjusting the flesh or your seat on whatever you're sitting on. Lift those front toes. You can bend the knee. Do whatever you need to do in order to make this fold a steady, easy place for you to be. You know, according to Patanjali and the Yoga Sutras, an asana is a steady, comfortable seat. Can we find in every yoga pose, in every asana, something that is steady and comfortable? Some place in which we are able to breathe. Breathing in, breathing out. And then starting to come back up. We're going to take the knee to face up, leaving the foot on the inside or crossing it over to the outside of the right leg. We're going to hug in with the right thigh, left hand in nice and close to your hip. Breathe in, get a little bit taller. And as you exhale, soften those ribs down and open into a twist. Release the collarbones, feel the ears lifting up. 2 more breaths. Start to release that twist. You're going to slide this foot up to the outside of your hips so your thighs are closer together, or open that leg out to where it just was with the foot on the inside of the leg. And then you'll come forward over a straight leg or fold that leg in. Give a little hip wiggle, gently, slowly. And find your breath. Find softness in the lower back. Exhaling. And start to lift yourself up. We're going to unwind the leg. Grab whatever you're going to want for Shavasana, and then start to make your way down onto the floor. Bend into your knees. Let the knees knock against each other. Rest one hand on your belly and one hand on your heart. Take a moment to relax into the ground. To let the weight of your body kind of release any tension in the back, giving it the time to do so. Just being with your breath. Starting to release the arms open to your sides. Take your knees and roll them over towards the right.
keep the twist nice and loose if that feels good to you. If you really need to work it out a little bit more, you can always twist the legs around or bring the knees in closer to your chest. But since we've done so much active twisting already, perhaps you can find a little bit more softness here, and that will be sufficient. And do what makes the most sense for you. One more long, slow breath. And start to work over towards the other side. Just take those legs over, relax them down. Find a similar feeling shape, which might involve a little bit of wiggling once you get there. Finding that same quality in your breath. Checking in with places you might be unnecessarily holding tension. One more round of breath. And then start to come back to the middle, deciding how you would like to rest in Shavasana. If you'd like to place legs up against the wall, take a seated meditation. You know, there's so many options, and you get to be just intuitive about the best choice for your body and your headspace right now. Once you find a place where you are ready to rest and enjoy.
we each have the choice in any setting to step back and let go of the mindset of scarcity. Once we let go of scarcity, we discover the surprising truth of sufficiency. It isn't a measure of barely enough or more than enough. Sufficiency isn't an amount at all. It is an experience, a context we generate, a declaration, a knowing that there is enough and that we are enough. Once you start to come back into your body, as you make any small movements that help to wake you up, taking deeper breaths and gently working your way over to one side. Pausing in a moment of gratitude for this practice, for the ability to practice together. Coming up to your own version of a comfortable seat. Whenever you're ready, take your time to get there and bring your hands together into your heart. Sealing practice with one Om. Big breath in. Bowing down to the love and the light that resides within each of our hearts. Namaste.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I hope your moving goes very smoothly.
Yes, thank you, April.
I think it should be good. My friend's here, and my other friend, he is huge. He'll just throw everything in the van.
Yay. You need friends like that. See you in your new place.
Yeah, sounds
Yeah.
good. See you next week.
Bye-bye.
Everyone, enjoy the lovely weather.